I wanted to thank Stell for her stellar leadership of our program committee. I think she doesn't get enough acknowledgement. And the rest of you all who do such a great job of, as I'll say later, 52 weeks a year having celebrations of life. And I also wanted to thank Firsty and everybody who came Thursday for giving me and Richard a place to be for Thanksgiving. It was amazing. There were 22 people, and mostly desserts were eaten, from what I could see. Black Friday is the name given to the day following Thanksgiving as the official opening of the Christmas shopping season. Some say that the name originated in Philadelphia in 1961, when it was used to describe the heavy and disruptive vehicle traffic due to the volume of shoppers, many of whom were actually given a day off to go shopping and kick off the season. It was only later that we began to use the explanation that this was the first day of the year when retailers begin to turn a profit or be in the black. Ironically, the one place that this Thanksgiving Day shopping right could not take place was in the heart of New England, including Plymouth, Massachusetts, where the Pilgrims first gave thanks in 1621 for their harvest and their survival. And yes, we know the other side of the story. That was their side of the story. Colonial-era blue laws, still on the books, put down by early settlers to enforce proper behavior on Sundays, also prevents retailers from opening their doors the fourth Thursday of November. This was considered an equal sacrilege. Did you know that? Go to Massachusetts on the fourth Thursday and you can't have a celebration, but let me tell you, my daughter and I just got back from a road trip to Massachusetts. There were pot stores on every block, and they were open on Sunday. I wasn't there on Thanksgiving, so I don't know. One particular clever advertising ploy has been to relabel this holiday, instead of being, in the words of President Abraham Lincoln, a national day of thanksgiving and praise, founded in the midst of a civil war of unequaled magnitude and severity until now. It is now all about family, food, football, and shopping. Shopping for 16th generation iPhones, shopping for Dyson upright vacuums, shopping for Christian tablet e-readers, and in Jesus we trust coffee mugs. For many years, it was common for stores to open at 6 a.m. the day after Thanksgiving, Black Friday, that morning, luring shoppers in with lost leader items and a limited quantity at that. But in the late 2000s, many retail businesses crept back to 5 o'clock, then 4 o'clock, then midnight, and then began opening up on Thanksgiving itself, earlier and earlier, until worker pushback finally stopped this new holiday tradition because they just didn't want to come to work. They stopped showing up. They couldn't do it anymore. Let's hear it for labor. So now there's only a smattering of retailers opening their doors on Thanksgiving, and I think the one big retailer I know that is open on Thanksgiving is, let's have a big boo for the Family Dollar stores, and far more larger retailers who have decided to stay shut. I did notice that Kroger and a lot of the grocery stores were open till 5. Publix is not open on Thanksgiving, but Family Dollar store, or was it Dollar General? I don't remember. Open on Thanksgiving still. But while labor pressure has pretty much put an end to Thanksgiving shopping hours, if Mall of America was any indication this year, there are new Black Friday promotions to get shoppers to buy early, buy in bulk, with the first 200 people in line at the center's north entrance getting $25 gift cards. And the Target there offering an exclusive book devoted to Taylor Swift's Eras Tour. Show up on Thanksgiving, day after Thanksgiving, you get one. This was done partly because there are 5 fewer shopping days between Thanksgiving and Christmas this year because Thanksgiving was too late, and also partly, as was reported this morning by the Associated Press, because, in the words of the reporter, shoppers were distracted heading into the U.S. presidential election, unquote. You think? Sales of general merchandise dropped 9% in the 2 weeks before the election. You would have thought that all hell had broken out, but have been rebounding since November 5th. I don't know about you, but for me, I haven't gotten there yet. But for a lot of American consumers, after the election, they started shopping again. But the just before midnight Black Friday frenzy has mostly continued unabated, despite the complaints of voters to pollsters before the election that the economy had tanked, despite the actual data on increasing rents, increasing car loan costs, and increasing credit card debit. They are buying, and they're buying big this year. I ate my dinner and I came right here, said a student in New York City who bought a 50-inch television at Target when it opened at 6 a.m. Friday, and then went home, he told the reporter, to snack on the leftovers. Like 75% of all shoppers, he was buying only for himself. No presents to wrap, no stocking stuffers, it was all about him. Shoppers who set up rented tents in parking lots overnight. Shoppers who use new apps such as store maps with the precise location of sales items and how to find their car in the mall parking lot. Shoppers like my own pregnant daughter of many years back who stayed up all night on Thanksgiving one year to go with a friend to the retail outlet center to buy some clothes and accessories, figuring this was the last time in many years she would be able to do this with a baby coming. And then there was another. Which leads me to my own confession that I participated once in Black Friday, heading out with my oldest son at 3 in the morning to the nearby Best Buy, the one at Northlake, and the shopping center across the road in search of deep discounts. We were in line an hour or so before the stores opened. It was very cold. I stayed in the car part of the time while my son chatted with the other early birds who were vying for the same computer and camera he was hoping to score. I, for once, had no particular shopping agenda, just a chance to spend some mom time with an adult child and have a cultural experience that might feed my curiosity and end up in a sermon someday. Yay! I don't live life unless it preaches, let me tell you that much. He didn't get what he wanted that day, but bought a few things for himself anyway. I purchased a spyware program I really didn't need and have never installed because the price was so good, and a black leather jacket at the mall, which I could have paid half as much for in January. Of course, there is the story of the, wait a minute, sorry. The best part was the breakfast afterwards, and that was Waffle House, and going home to a warm bed. So it was altogether a politically incorrect experience, okay? Waffle House, spyware, black leather jackets, you know. All of this craziness, this opening the earliest, cutting prices, the most consumerism might lead one to agree with the writer who was waiting for the day when we are freed up from all things and implores us to not spend our lives collecting material objects that, after all, only turn to dust and ashes. Okay? That's what they do. Which they don't, by the way. They do endure, these objects, and they do matter. A British Museum exhibit took 100 curators to complete it with the goal of telling the history of the world in 100 objects. The creators of this extraordinary collection and the book that followed argue that we find the concerns and aspirations of a people not just in writing, but in things. Things like mummies, things like ceremonial spears, things like battle helmets, and things like Buddha heads, yes. But, and also, we find our meaning in life, our history, in decorative vases, in crystal and jade rings, often given as gifts. And while Black Friday is by most accounts not in the spirit of a family-centered day of peace and goodwill, the custom of giving Christmas gifts has ancient roots, as much a part of the holiday as any other tradition. The practice of gift giving at the beginning of winter traces back to ancient Rome, where there were celebrations to honor Saturn, the harvest god, and Mithras, the god of light. Of course, there's a story of the gifts from the three wise men, or magi, who brought the newborn baby Jesus gold for a king, incense, a gift for a priest, and myrrh, a burial ointment for one who will die. And bars of gold-flecked, incense-smelling soap are still sold in tourist shops in Israel, even to this day. And I still have one, still unwrapped, from 14 years ago. If you want it, let me know. And the 4th century story of St. Nicholas, a bishop in Asia Minor who was known to give treats and small presents to children, the St. Nicholas who evolved into the magic Santa Claus of today. And I'll tell you a little story because of my grandmother standing up here at the mic. My granddaughter, Annabelle, who turned 9 years old, told her mother yesterday that she no longer believes in Santa Claus, and then she wanted to know, then who the hell was this person whose lap she was sitting on for all these years? She actually said that. By the 10th century, it is believed that the gift-giving custom started by St. Nicholas was widely practiced with homemade foods and sweets, especially rare oranges. And I'm not the only one. Did you get like an orange or tangerine in your stocking? Did you know it goes all the way back to that tradition? And handicrafts. The Industrial Revolution brought a shift from homemade to manufactured Christmas gifts, along with it the advent of advertising, which by the 1840s was an embedded part of the holiday. So gifts as commerce and the marketing that goes with it are not new. Going back almost 200 years in this country, there have been things to buy in the stores, to wrap in gift paper and give as presents, and efforts to convince us what gifts we should buy. 200 years of this in this country. There is a school of gift giving as taught by the late actress Ruth Gordon, who when asked what her rule was for buying presents answered, "Mine is, would I like it? I don't know what anyone else likes, and I frankly don't care, but if I like it, it's at least something." Go, Ruth. Tongue-in-cheek or otherwise, our etiquette gurus, Miss Manners, for example, or the late Emily Post, would take great issue. Gift-giving, they would say, is a true art. You need to understand the person to whom you intend to give the gift. You need to know what they truly want. It might well be a crocheted snowflake for the tree, or a favorite jam, or a photo of a grandchild in a dollar store frame. It may also be something purchased at a small local store, or online, or in a mall, something quite material, something quite precious, something frivolous, or something inexpensive and therefore bound to break. A spirituality of truly being known and being understood. So random gifts over time for me. As a child, I remember getting a stuffed animal dog I named Muggsy, who was mine alone in a household where our real pet dog was shared by 5 other people, and his name was Bishop. I remember receiving my first almost grown-up hardcover book, a copy of To Kill a Mockingbird, from my parents, who made me feel seen and made me feel understood and authentically known at age 12 that they would give me To Kill a Mockingbird. Gifts well chosen can heal. Gifts carelessly chosen can hurt. My father had many wives and many girlfriends, even in his 80s. I can remember receiving a makeup kit, you know, the kind with maybe a dozen different eyeshadow colors and assorted lipsticks and rouges. How many of you really do remember those? Or just be, yeah, okay. I was in my early 20s and elated when I opened that gift, feeling that my father had moved past childhood and teen year presents into a more appropriate and kind of glamorous gift, that he saw me as a young adult woman. It was a few years before I realized that this special gift was a freebie that must have come with an expensive bottle of cologne he had given his current love interest. He also had the habit of at first visiting and later just calling a jeweler where he would select or have selected the same piece of jewelry for all of the women in his life. His current wife, his former girlfriend, his daughters-in-law, his daughter, his granddaughter, and somehow didn't expect we would know this. Always in the same gray boxes. Sometimes the piece of jewelry would just suit one or another of us. A freshwater pearl necklace I really liked one year, a simple pair of gold hoops. Other times it wouldn't. A chunky, clunky bracelet one year, a miniature alarm clock for every single female in his life. The best present I ever got from him, this following a period of actually spending some time together, driving around North Georgia, visiting his favorite places to watch birds and eat at meat and threes, was the year he bought me a handmade wedding ring quilt from one of the shops we had found and had it hung over our bed on Christmas morning. To this day, I don't know how he and Richard did it, but there it was over our bed. It was mine uniquely, and a memory to share. Sometimes it means gifting ourselves with humor and grace, as in the one holiday season, one person told me they knew they were going to be alone between relationships. They had no travel money, not a good time in their relationship with their parents. So in October, they went shopping for themselves, got home, wrapped the presents, and put them away. The week before Christmas, they brought them out and put them under the small tree. Christmas morning, they opened them and were very surprised at what they had gotten themselves, not even remembering all of them. The best part, the very best part, was that the dog and the cat helped open them. A Christmas truly cherished because they nurtured themselves. The presents we exchange on holidays like Christmas may not be spiritual gifts, but they can reflect a spirituality of giving, if spiritual growth indeed involves seeing the other and being seen authentically. I would propose that this is sometimes means a gift of membership in a botanical garden, or a pass to your favorite state park, or a contribution to your favorite nonprofit, if this best reflects the person being given to. I am grateful that one year our youngest son gave all of us memberships in the ACLU, and that's what we're doing again this year, okay? My son and daughter-in-law have a lot of money. He's a senior person in the Silicon Valley. They've been able to give thousands of dollars to Planned Parenthood and thousands of dollars to political candidates, and their gifting practices makes me feel like they are gifting on my behalf, and I'm very grateful. For those of us in this sanctuary this morning and those others who are part of First Existentialists and are not here this morning, filling out a pledge form indicating our approximate financial support over the next 3 years will enable our congregation to do 52 celebrations of life each year, with intelligent ideas and with magical music and delightful dance and comforting context in a caring community. I told you I would do that, okay? A gift to ourselves, right? A gift to each other, a gift to this community, and yes, a gift to this hurting world. Speaking of gifts to our country and to a tormented earth, filmmaker and writer Michael Moore has written his Christmas gift request list to outgoing President Biden, with some Michael Moore suggestions for how he can use the rest of his time in office. He can gift us by canceling student debt once and for all. He can gift us by closing Guantanamo. He can gift us by freeing Cuba, and he can gift us by signing on to an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. But starting with what Moore calls a no-brainer, ordering the Equal Rights Amendment for Women to be officially published in the U.S. Constitution. It was ratified by the required number of states, and it should become the 28th Amendment to this endangered document. And we can help this weekend by joining the massive coalition of groups all across America, he declares, who are emailing and calling the White House, asking President Biden to finally make the ERA the law of the land. Merry Christmas. A gift for now and for generations to come, no matter what our gender. My ministerial colleague, retired Presbyterian minister Johanna Adams, wrote a column some years back about her love still of shopping for gifts to give. In it, she wrote, "It's tempting to decry the consumerism and materialism. True, the love of things and an obsession with having more are the roots of human misery. You could even call it idolatry of sorts. Gifts, though, are really good. They pack a fourfold whammy. There's the pleasure of receiving a gift and the gratitude it evokes in the heart of the receiver. And then there's the happiness that comes from giving the gift and the delight engendered by someone who delights in what has been given. So let the gifting begin. May it be so."
Thank you, Marti. Our final congregation